Hello, and welcome to episode 14 of What If Civilization Started Over. If you missed the last one, we saw a lot of things, including West Africa becoming independent from Cape Verde. The consolidation of Libya, I believe, happened in the last episode, as well as the creation of a trade route over here and a few other things. So if you missed that, go watch it. But with that, we're going to get right into episode 14. And most of the stuff that's happening in this episode is going to happen in Asia. So I'm going to quickly do some stuff in Africa and Europe. So first of all, some exploration is going to happen. Russia has been doing a lot of exploration. I don't know where the Urals are in real life, but they're going to explore up to where the Urals actually are. So let's just say it's around this mountain range that I've kind of already been doing. And they basically have a project, and that project is get to the Arctic Circle, because they know that there is a point at which you can't go further north from there. And so they're going to actually discover a ridiculous amount of land, but they're not going to settle it. However, there's a group of people from Russia who basically are like, we don't really like living in Russia. We want to make our own thing. They are going to create their own country. I've realized I don't really have that many red countries on the map. Let's make it red. It's going to be a red country, and it's going to be all the way around the Gulf of Finland, right here, like so. And then they're going to discover these two islands by Tallinn. And the democracy over here in the Netherlands is also going to do some exploration, as they go and discover Sweden as well as this island, and just generally discover a lot of area, as well as colonize the rest of Jutland. And so let's make some cities. Okay, so this Estonian country will have two major cities. Their capital will be in Tallinn, which is around here, I think. And this is driving me crazy, so they are going to have these two islands. And meanwhile, yeah, that's it. Okay. Oh, and their ideology, they're going to be a monarchy. Okay, let's go do a little bit more stuff here. So, I said the Spanish monarchy was really popular, but they've gotten a lot less popular after they lost that war. They regained some of their popularity after they won the war against France, but they're still not very popular. And there's going to be an uprising against the Spanish monarchy. And it actually is going to occur over here, as these people want to create a theocracy, but not just any theocracy. They want to join up back with France. And Western France or Brittany will buy this land back from Southern France, because Southern France had a terrible economy. And all of a sudden, Brittany is now back to being Western France. But the Spanish rebels aren't done, because there's two more groups of rebels. Monarchy is kind of just letting this happen. But there's a group of rebels in Galicia who wants their independence back. Galicia had been kind of snuffed out as like an independent identity, but it kind of has a revival, as Spain is just not doing very well. They're kind of in an economic crisis, and Spain will give Galicia independence, but now they're going to have their actual civil war, and it's a minor one. It's not going to last that long. No. The southwestern regions of Spain, including the capital region, have a rebellion, and this is going to be, it's actually extremely well organized. And basically, these guys want a theocracy, but it's extremely well organized, and they kill like the monarch and two of the next people in line pretty quickly. And when the next guy takes power, he is not really seen as legitimate. So there's like this region of land, as well as the Balearic Islands, just don't seem as legitimate and try and declare their independence under a different monarch. And basically Spain basically they actually end up doing really well for some reason, and the new monarch of Spain says, hey, I'll give you independence, Andalusia, if you help us defeat these rebellions. And they agree to that, and so this rebellion is crushed, and the Balearic Islands are also crushed, and they're reincorporated into Spain. But now Spain has lost a lot of its territory, and it's got to create a new capital, which it'll put in Barcelona. So we've got a lot of new ideologies, and like that, Spain is now divided in three, actually four technically, but part of it's part of another country. Okay. And in terms of alliances, we've got to move that as well. But we'll actually see that Galicia will not be part of any alliance. I changed my mind. I had them part of the pink. They're not going to be part of any alliance, but Andalusia will be part of the Libyan alliance. So that'll be interesting for whenever that war breaks out. Okay, let's go to the main event of the episode now. Oh, actually, I wanted to have something happen in Africa as well. But I'm going to do the thing that happens in Africa at the end of the episode. So for now, just sit tight. Okay. The main event is going to be happening in none other than India. And actually, if we look at the religion map, you'll see there's this little pocket of this orange religion here. And what's going to happen... Okay, so yeah, we have to look at this Arabian religion. And I don't really like specifying exactly what these people believe because it's not really going to be that important to the plot. Like, the main importance religion carries is that, like, that this Cyan religion exists, and then there's this sect of the Orange religion that's stuck in the Cyan region, and then it's also here. And actually, this is more so this sect of this religion, and so there's this brown religion that's been, like, festering for a really long time. But it's never really taken off, and in fact, it's starting to disappear. Remember the North Arabia, and this is the religion layer, North Arabia did make this religion legal, so it's not like these guys are being persecuted, but it's just disappearing as people are converting to this religion. But a religious leader of this brown religion is going to make a talk in his city, which is like the only city of the brown religion besides this one. So he basically gives this whole speech in the brown religion, and that gets these guys really hyped about the brown religion, and it kind of makes it start spreading again. And this is probably would have happened like within the last episode's time span, but it's still happening in this episode as more and more places, especially non-city places like rural areas, are converting to this religion. This is mostly within Arabia, but like Yemen also sees a lot of conversion since it's the same Cyan religion. And in fact, something is going to happen that's alarming if you are these guys, which is that the king of Yemen will convert to this brown religion, and that's the event that actually kickstarts this episode. And he will immediately turn his thing into turn his country into theocracy of the brown religion. And his country is still 95% the Cyan religion. Is just these two regions, and Socotra, that's the brown religion. But this is going to really alarm the Arabian guy, and he's going to make the brown religion illegal in his territory. And he's going to basically murder a bunch of people, but they're also going to move out. And because of this, Yemen is going to basically see an influx of refugees of the brown religion, since Yemen is actively welcoming them. And so the whole country is going to very quickly become majority brown religion. But it's going to kind of change the culture of Yemen, because religion kind of is a core aspect. This city is no longer big enough to be considered a major city, and the same thing happens to, like, I don't know, I think this city was under it. But the point is that they are really being harsh against this brown religion. When North India and Pakistan hear about this brown religion causing them so much trouble, when they hear about this religion causing so much trouble for Arabia, they're like, that is not for us, and they decide to ban the religion. But instead of banning the religion, instead of actually eradicating the religion, it makes the religion start to spread, as a lot of regions that were once the brown religion, and it's not brown, it's like a sect of the orange religion, but also it actually has a lot of ideas from the Cyan religion. I'm going to make it actually its own thing, like a proper separate religion instead of just being a sect of the orange religion, because it's kind of its own thing. And we have to change Yemen's ideology. Anyway, this is like it's a proper different religion, but anyway, it's growing a lot in pretty much all throughout India. And within 20 or 30 years, which is still all in the time span of this episode, it looks like this. And the leaders of Yemen have been helping to coordinate this. And so eventually, what we're going to see is that a massive... Oh, Yemen wasn't supposed to change colors, but I think it's actually fine that they do, because, yeah. But anyway, a massive rebellion is going to take place all across India of this religion. Obviously, they want to found a theocracy. And these guys are actually really well equipped. It's not just Yemen who's equipping them, but I'm not going to say which other countries are. but it's going to be a mixture of theocracies that are actually not this religion. Basically, just everyone who doesn't want India to do well, because India has been very cooperative with these three countries. And so some countries don't want India to be so strong. And they are funding these rebels. And they're doing the best in the former territories of West India, where they don't really like the theocratic rule. But they're just doing well generally everywhere, as they kind of first focus on East India, who's doing the worst. And they almost, if I turn off ideologies, they almost have their capital immediately taken, as their entire country kind of falls to this rebellion. And more regions of this thing are going to become proper parts of the rebellion, rather than just areas that are being militarily occupied. So, like, first that region, then this region becomes proper part of the rebellion. And these areas are converting, but I'm not going to show it on the religion layer because it's complicated. And some people aren't converting, but they just like the idea of not being under their current government. And so, as you can see, already these guys have lost a ridiculous amount of their control. And then the crazy thing is going to happen. So the Lime religion actually has like a different sect, like a subsect of the Lime sect of the Green religion, that is being practiced in all of the East. So if we turn on ideologies, these guys are technically this religion. These guys are the Lime religion, and there is a small sect of the Lime religion in here. It would be like in here and like around this specific city because of the history of that city, and maybe like a little bit up here. So there is the Lime sect as well, but you can see it's actually like these guys are even worse governors than you would think. And so anyway, this sect of the religion, they are going to rise up. In solidarity with the Brown Rebellion, because they also feel like they're being unfairly persecuted within their own homes, and they're also rebelling from these Chinese countries. They're obviously not going to rebel from the country that actually is their religion. But yeah, they are rebelling from everywhere else. So, let's turn off ideology. So this is where this rebellion is taking place. Spoiler alert, but China and Yangtze were two of the countries that were funding the Indian rebellion, so now they're not going to be able to do that anymore, even though these guys were doing it in solidarity with these guys, so these guys might have shot themselves in the foot a little bit. But they are going to now start trying to pummel this rebellion, while Vietnam, Thailand, Southeast Asia is going to be supporting it. But yeah, let's just say they are actually doing well, as this rebellion is much less well organized, and Burma has a history of dealing with people who are a different religion from them. But Burma and China get into odds because Burma has 50 to 60% of the population is the Orange religion, which is China's religion, but they are a Lime religion theocracy. There's a ridiculous number of religions. Anyway, Pakistan is the only one who's actually doing well against this rebellion. They're actually even able to take some of its land. North India is doing okay against it because they haven't really taken the brunt of the invasion, but East India has completely collapsed. And at this point, it's Pakistan and North India are invading into the rebellion, but North India is actually not doing that. They're invading into a different rebellion because they have two rebellions going on within their territory. And just when you thought this couldn't get bad enough, the Brown religion is going to have a sectarian divide. So first of all, this is the land that's currently converted to the Brown religion, but they're about to have a sectarian divide, which basically means that some people think the religion is being practiced wrong and want to practice it a different way. These people are going to be light brown, and they're also slightly redder. And these guys are going to be in basically the south of this. And this is going to divide the rebellion, as these guys are their own rebellion from the rebellion. And this allows for East India to start taking back a lot of its land, because they did still exist. They were kind of in exile in North India, but they start taking back a lot of their land as these guys start fighting with each other. And a huge East Indian rebellion takes place in the south. However, these guys will capture this territory over here, and they'll start invading into their old rebellion mates, while East India takes back all of this territory. And so this is a mess. This is a mess, but it's getting cleaned up as, like, realistically, this specific rebellion is not doing well, and eventually they're fully cleaned up, but Southeast Asia does get a little bit of land out of it. But these guys are going to rework their borders with each other because the borders weren't really clear before that. And also because China and North India did way more work than Yangtze, and they feel like they're entitled to land from Yangtze, and Burma as well, who didn't really do much work. And also China, and also everyone just kind of hates Burma. And also Burma is going to change their ideology in exchange for not being invaded by Vietnam. I should say Southeast Asia, because Vietnam is not where their capital is. But it feels weird to call them Thailand. And eventually there's a stalemate here, and they decide to just kind of let it happen. So let's see what that looks like. And East India is going to split into East India and South India because there's no way they can actually maintain this territory here in the future. So it's going to become independent. And really, East India was the major loser of this war. And these guys are actually going to be a monarchy, whereas these guys are both going to be theocracies of their own respective religions. You can't really tell that they're actually different. I might change that. There you go. Now you can probably tell. Now you can tell that they're slightly different sects of the Brown religion. But one more thing, a few more things are going to happen with this. China and Yangtze have been drastically weakened by this, and Yangtze was already on the verge of collapse. They're actually completely religiously united, but they're going to just collapse. They're basically, their theocracy is going to collapse, not because of a theocratic reason, but just because there's a lot of people who want their own things. First, there's going to be the entirety of, like, the southwest region of it, which is going to just kind of rebel and become its own state. And that's going to be most of it, is just going to rebel and become its own state. Then we've got this entire northern region, which is going to opt to join up with Yellow River Valley. These guys are going to, this colony is going to become part of South Korea. China will end up taking even more territory from Yangtze. This new trading kingdom, which will call Mongolia, because I think that's where its capital is. Yeah, I'm going to call these guys Mongolia. They take that much territory, and then a monarchist rebellion will break away in the center of the country. Yeah, let's do some capitals. Then in Japan, we are going to see that there is a war between southern Japan and Tokyo, in which southern Japan absolutely whoops Tokyo's butt, and Tokyo is completely annexed into southern Japan. And southern Japan continues their mission to unite all of Japan under their rule. Okay, let's go back to Africa, and then I'll end the episode. So the major thing that's going to happen in Africa is basically, it's actually super simple. They will join, Eritrea and Ethiopia will join Libya's alliance, and this will cause a lot of heat. Also, during this time, a lot of exploration has actually happened into this area and over here, and these two states have actually started expanding massively. But I'm officially going to add another ideology. We have three. We have theocracy, monarchy, and democracy. I'm going to add a fourth one. Technically, it's not an ideology, but I'm going to put this in as, like, a form of government, kind of. But it is going to be dictatorship, and I'm only going to make the bottom half a dictatorship symbol. But dictatorship basically means whatever ideology it's supposed to be got corrupted, and now it's basically just one man who has all the power, or sometimes a woman. So in both of these countries, they are no longer actual theocracies. They're really just dictatorships masquerading as theocracies, and that's how I'm going to show that. But yeah, with that, I'm going to end the episode here. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.